Welcome to our first ever podcast for the Grace Deer Trust on how to restyle your sleep. I'm Christine Pitt from Yoga Mango, and I'm here today with Nikki Dive from Love Yoga Bird. Nikki is a yoga and mindfulness teacher specialising in teens and Chinese medicine. She's a mum of 2 teens, one of whom suffers from sleep issues, and she does voluntary work for the Teen Yoga Foundation. Today we're going to be talking about sleep, why we sleep and how to sleep, the mind and body aspects of sleep, and Nikki will be sharing some tools. We'll be trying some of those out, and she'll be pointing you towards further resources. Why do we need sleep?
Well, sleep is a biological need. So we do a lot in our sleep. We digest our experiences of the day, we detox, we repair, we lay down memories. So if we don't sleep, then our mind is in chaos the next day. We can't find anything. It's a bit like not having a tidy wardrobe. Things all over the floor, you can't find a thing. And also in deep sleep, this is like our sewage system where we get rid of all the waste, as I say, detox. And in our REM sleep, this is the daydream state or the dream state. That's like our emotional first aid.
And how much sleep do teens ideally need?
Well, teenagers need about 9.5 hours sleep per night, and on average they only get about 7.5.
And why should we prioritise sleeping well?
Well, if we don't sleep well, there are many consequences. So it affects our cognitive ability, so that's like our academic performance. We are better able to regulate our sugar if we sleep well. So if we can't do that, then we get lots of peaks and troughs. This can be related to developing obesity or diabetes, and it can affect our mood. And in addition, it's really good for our immune function to sleep well. If we don't sleep well, we can end up with sore throats, maybe being more susceptible to colds and flu. And every mental health condition affects sleep and vice versa. So you know the phrase, sleep on it. You know, you always feel better in the morning if you've had a good night's sleep.
So what can I do if my son or daughter says my friends don't go to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock?
Well, yeah, absolutely, because a lot of teenagers want to go to bed later. And in fact, there's a later release of the sleep hormone melatonin when you're a teenager. But the thing is, it's so important to get the 9.5 hours sleep. So if you have to get up early and go to school, then you need to kind of go to sleep in time to get that amount of sleep. And the NHS actually reported a dramatic increase in under 14s who went to hospital due to sleep disorders. So there was 3,000 in 2004-05, and that went up to 8,000 in 2014-15. And it's believed that screens are the culprit. And we're now another 4 or 5 years down the line, so it's likely to be worse still.
So screens, you mentioned screens just now, so why are screens so bad?
Well, screen time is adversely associated with sleep outcomes in 90% of studies. So that's according to the Journal of Sleep Medicine in 2015. And the blue light in the screens can affect your sleep hormone release, your melatonin release. And if you go past that release of melatonin, you can then get a release of cortisol to wake you up because the body has realised, or the brain has realised, that the body is still awake. So it's like, oh crap, we don't want melatonin, well, let's give them a dose of something to wake you up and stay alert. So you miss that window. And also, if you have a phone in your bedroom, there's a big aspect of FOMO, fear of missing out. So this can delay you going to sleep. You think, I might just check my phone for 5 minutes, and you're there 45 minutes later checking whatever social media. If you wake up in the night, you might think, oh, I wonder if I've received any likes on this post, or you might just go straight to your screen because it's there and it's handy and it's that bad habit. Or in the morning, it might be the first thing you do. So this is called anticipatory anxiety. So you're worried about, well, you might not know you're worried, this could be a subconscious worry, but it's all linked up with hormones, because you get a release of good hormones, good mood hormones called endorphins, when you look at your phone and you see that somebody's messaged you, or it pings or whatever. So there's lots of reasons to keep your screen out of the bedroom.
And I suppose too, sleep impacts how we look, our beauty sleep, and how, as I said, we look beautiful and refreshed if we have decent enough sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. I always look worse if I haven't. Look more pale and more lines.
Yes, all of that.
Yeah.
So, are there other things that can adversely affect our sleep?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of other things that I would like to talk about, actually. One of which is caffeine. And many teenagers may not drink coffee, and that might come later if you go to further on in your life. But even coffee in drinks such as a frappuccino from Starbucks, or even tea and hot chocolate have an aspect of coffee in them. So if you think about a double espresso, that's got 150 milligrams of caffeine in it. If you have a double espresso at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's only half gone by noon, and at 4 a.m. a quarter of it is still in your system, and there's still traces at midnight. So if you think about the amount of time that it takes for your body to process caffeine, and compare that to a frappuccino, which has actually 2/3 of that caffeine in it. So there's 100 milligrams in a frappuccino with caffeine. So always choose the one without caffeine. There's always an option.
That's amazing. And another thing that crosses my mind would be alcohol. How does that impact sleepers?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, some teenagers may drink alcohol now, some may not, some may later, but it's good to have a bit of knowledge behind you so that you can make the right decision. Because if you have a glass of wine in the evening, you might think that actually that's a nice calming, soothing effect and you go to sleep more easily. But in fact, there is a bounce back mechanism. So it will affect your sleep and disturb the quality of your sleep, because as the hormones regulate, you get this, as I say, bounce back, and it can disturb your sleep, it can affect the quality of your sleep, your deep sleep, your REM sleep. So even though initially it might be sedating, then actually you're not doing yourself any favours, and you're going to wake up with a worse cognitive function, less able to remember stuff. So especially if you think, oh, it's a really good idea to have alcohol anywhere related to taking a test or an exam or anything like that, there's other things that are much better.
And I've heard you talk about the 24-hour guide to sleep. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, well, I think you hear a lot about good sleep hygiene, and that talks about the hour or two before you go to sleep. But I think it's about the whole day. So when you wake up, it's really important to get the daylight, you get your vitamin D, and this links in with waking up your body, waking up your lungs, waking up your eyes to the light around you. And then you come to lunchtime. After lunch, you might want to take it easy. You might want to just slow things down a bit. Don't rush around, don't go and have exercise after lunch, because your body wants to rest and digest. And then just fast forward to the evening time. This is a time when you want to relax. So you want a bit of a chill time. So really have that gap between the end of your homework and the time when you want to start getting ready for bed. So talking about brainwaves now. So we want to get our brainwaves ready for sleep as well. So when we're in our awake mode, we've got our beta brainwaves, and they're like this, up and down, really active. And we move to a relaxed state, we have alpha brainwaves. And then we want to move into a daydreamy state, and this is your theta brainwaves. And that's the perfect brainwaves to be in before going to sleep, and that you can drift really nicely into a nice deep sleep where you have your delta brainwaves. So yeah, it's a good time to do all the good sleep hygiene stuff, absolutely. You know, maybe have a bath, maybe get some oils out, just paint your nails, do something relaxing. Maybe if you like to do any art or play an instrument, listen to some relaxing music, read a book, but not on a Kindle, nice paper version. And also one thing that's really nice just before you go to bed is to have a quick stretch. And I'm not talking about, you know, you need to do 15 minutes of stretching out every day, you know, just stretch out any muscles that feel a bit tight.
So yes, with stretching, so how does yoga fit into all this? That's stretching, isn't it?
Absolutely, and yoga has a very positive long-term effect on the quality of your sleep. So not just getting to sleep, but the ability to stay asleep as well. You want to get the mind and the body to be ready to fall asleep. So there's lots of yoga sequences specifically designed for sleep. So you can go through all the major muscle groups in your body and stretch and relax your muscles. That's a really good idea. There's also a cozy yoga, I call it, which is restorative yoga. So you pick just 2 or 3 poses which are really comfortable. You get your blankets, your cushions, get ready for bed, and then just really hunker down and put on some nice relaxing music and just be still and enjoy this really nurturing time. And then also within this yoga world, there's also self-massage, so you can just squeeze and release certain muscles, getting them ready, and that can feel really nice. You can just give yourself a little bit of a neck or shoulder massage and just loosening up before going to bed.
Sounds brilliant. So if I follow my natural rhythms, should my sleep improve? But also, what happens if I've had a very upsetting day and I'm emotionally upset before I'm going to bed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think regularity and routine are really important. But as you say, if your mind's not in the right place, if you're upset about something, then it's important to release that as well. So you might have had an argument between family and friends. There might be a level of fear and anxiety, just generally day to day within you, or you might have experienced or you are experiencing trauma. Equally, there might be some specific homework or exam-related stress, or you might be worried about bigger issues such as COVID-19 or climate change. So absolutely, if your mind is really worked up about something in an overdrive, then it's really important to have the tools to relax your mind as well.
So how do we know if our mind is ready for sleep?
Well, we have 2 states of mind, or 2 states of nervous system. So we want to be in a relaxed state, in the rest and digest state, and this is called the parasympathetic nervous system. However, we might be in the other side, in the sympathetic nervous system state, and this is where we've got adrenaline and cortisol hormones flowing around our body, and this is because we're designed to survive. So our brain is helping us to survive by creating all these hormones, and especially if we perceive a threat, then we will have these hormones rushing around our body. We will feel hypervigilant. Or if we're feeling anxious, or if we're scared of being alone in the dark, so everything goes quiet when everyone goes to bed, and then suddenly all the lights are off, and you're left with you, yourself, and maybe some sounds that suddenly you notice and you're not sure what they are, then your nervous system is getting the cue to be in this sympathetic nervous system state. So it's important to have the tools so that you can switch over to your rest and digest mode.
So how can you switch off?
Well, there are many tools within the yoga world, and I'll start firstly with mindfulness. So this is conscious breathing, and it distracts your thoughts from elsewhere. So you can only ever have one thought at a time. So you have an exercise or a script. You might listen to an app that guides you into sleep, into bringing your attention inward and your focus on the breath. And this gradually relaxes your state of mind. So there are certain breathing techniques that are really good for calming your energy down. So I'll just mention a few. There's the Ujjayi breath, which is a gentle constriction of the throat, and it produces a very soft sound. So it brings your attention to the breathing because you can hear it a little more. You've got your belly breath, so you can place 2 hands on your belly, and you're sending your breath down into the belly, which is immediately starting to relax and calm you down. And this is how babies breathe. This is how we breathe when we wake up naturally, and we're not worried about something immediately. There's also the alternate nostril breath technique, which is a little odd if you haven't tried it before, but you basically block one nostril as you breathe in through the other nostril, and there's a certain rhythm of breathing in and out of alternate nostrils, and this is balancing the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. So once again, it's a balancing breath. And one side of the nostril, so the right side of the nostril is linked to your sympathetic nervous system, so your awake, alert mode. And the breathing through the left side, the left nostril, is linked to activating your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode.
And are there any other techniques you'd like to introduce us to?
Yeah, shall we try one now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so this is called Sa-Ta-Na-Ma, and it's a meditation. It's an exercise that's great for anyone with an overactive mind, ADHD or autism. And it's linked to your thyroid, your parathyroid, your pineal and pituitary glands. And these come together as the command and control centre of your metabolism. So it's like pressing the reset on your metabolism. The thyroid is also linked to the adrenal glands, which is where your stress hormone cortisol is created. In addition, we'll be moving the eyes up and down, side to side. And as you move the eyes up, you disconnect from your thought pattern. So it's impossible to keep that thought pattern going when you're moving your eyes around. And we're going to start with the fingers, and then we'll move on to moving the head with the Sa-Ta-Na-Ma. And we'll see how you feel before and how you feel afterwards and see if there's a difference. So we're just going to move the thumb along, starting with the nearest finger, and with each sound we can move towards the little finger and then start again. So you can say it out loud if you wish, or you can say it in your head, but I think verbalising it, saying it out loud is more effective. So it's completely up to you. Sa-Ta-Na-Ma. 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 And as you go through, your mind stops chucking in these thoughts of like, what are you doing? This feels really strange, you're a bit crazy. And you just get into this really nice rhythm. So I really like that. So let's try it with the head.
Okay.
As we move the head up, this is the pineal, it links with the pineal gland. As we move it down, it links with the pituitary gland. Left to the thyroid and right to the parathyroid. So we're going Sa-Ta-Na-Ma. 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 na. Sa, ta, na, na. You can have the fingers if you want. Sa, ta, na, na. And we'll just gently come to a close. And just notice how you feel.
I like
if
that.
you feel maybe a little calmer.
Yeah, very relaxing.
I can notice it in my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we can do?
Well, absolutely. We can, if the problem is that you can't get to sleep because you've got things on your mind, then I really recommend journaling. And you can start off with something as easy as, if you've got something on your mind, lots of things to do tomorrow and you need to remember, you can just write a list, get it out of your mind, write it down, put it to one side. Now with journaling you can choose what you want to write about. You can either do what's called free writing, which is where you just go to your journal, start writing about whatever's at the front of your mind and just carry on writing, and you just see what you write. And it's quite interesting because it's interesting to see how your brain naturally prioritises what you're going to write. So you try not to decide and control what you're going to write, you just kind of carry on writing, and that's quite nice. If you want to have some prompts, then there are some journal prompts, and they generally link you to the senses. So maybe you're thinking about a positive experience and you really think, right, what could I see, what could I feel, what could I hear, what could I touch, what did I taste or smell? So you're really going into the senses and really thinking about the detail of this experience. You can use a photo prompt for that if that's helpful. That can, free up some things. Or you can do some creative writing as well, or a gratitude list. There's lots of different ways to journal. But once you get into this, then you're no longer thinking about what's really bothering you, and you kind of let it all out, let it all go. If there are some longer, more chronic issues, then therapy is a really good step. Therapy gives you the chance to talk about how you're feeling with somebody, and for them to give you some explanations as to why you might be thinking like that, or maybe the neuroscience behind that, and actually making you feel a little bit more normal. I think it's important to sit with difficult emotions and really gives them some attention, because they will stay in your body buried down unless you do that. So they'll persist. What you resist will persist. So it's really good to sort out any longer term anxieties or emotional issues, because the sooner you do it, the better your sleep will be. So it's a really good investment. And I know that the list for CAMHS is really huge, and it takes forever to get an appointment unless it's a really extreme case. But the NHS does offer CBT for insomnia. It's called CBTI, and you can just look it up, and there's lots of tools there. And that's free and accessible for everybody.
Okay. And before we come to a close, you mentioned, I think earlier, about a body scan. I was going to ask you, can you do that for us today?
Yeah, sure.
Guide us through.
Yeah. So a body scan is called, it's like yoga nidra in yoga terms, which means yogic sleep. You stay in awareness, so you don't actually go to sleep, unlike the name suggests. But if you do, don't worry about it. It means that you really need your sleep. And you can always try again the next day or the next week, whatever. But it helps to alleviate mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. And 30 minutes of yoga nidra is said to be equivalent to 2 hours of deep sleep. So it's really effective, and even just a few minutes is really worth it. So we'll start by getting a nice comfortable seat. So if you're sitting, just place the soles of the feet on the floor, uncrossing the legs. And just take your attention to how you're sitting, a nice long spine, relax the shoulders, and lower and close the eyes. And we'll relax each of the main areas of your body. So beginning with the feet and legs. Moving up to the pelvis and hips, the abdomen and lower back, solar plexus and mid back, chest and upper back. And release the weight of your fingers, hands, arms and shoulders. And finally relax your throat, neck and head. And soften all of your internal organs, especially your heart, lungs, and entire digestive system. Now inhale gently from the soles of your feet, all the way up to the crown of your head. And as you exhale, allow all tension to be released down and out through the soles of your feet. And take several breaths here in relaxation. And gently start to open the eyes, wiggle the fingers a little, wiggle the toes.
That was lovely, really lovely. Oh, thank you. So, in summary, what are your key takeaways?
Well, my key takeaways are that good sleep hygiene is about the whole day and not just the hour before bedtime. Explore and practice your go-to sleep tools. So that could be yoga, breath work, journaling exercises, and prioritise good sleep above everything else, because it's so important for your well-being, your health, your performance. It's at the centre of you.
That's very good advice. Thank you very much. If anybody would like to find out any more, Nikki, where can they go?
Well, they can head over to my website, which is loveyogabird.com. I've got some Yoga for Sleep masterclass videos, a weekly teen yoga Zoom class, and private classes, write blog posts on sleep, and you can browse and buy from my Neil's Yard Remedies link, and that has diffusers, essential oils, bath and body for sleep range, and also recipes for calming drinks and kind of bath blends. And I've also made a list of further recommendations of books and mindfulness apps and podcasts.
Wow, lots there. Thank you so much, Nikki, for talking to us today about sleep. It's been really interesting.
Thank you. Well, I hope you sleep well tonight.
I'm sure I shall do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.